This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1509. Yes, you heard that number correctly. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Sundays this year, I've been doing a reprise show from my other podcast, Job Search Radio, where I've brought back some of the shows from the archives where I was doing 30-minute interviews with people about different elements of job search. Today's interview is with a woman named Peggy McKee from Career Confidential, and we talk about salary negotiation. Now, at this time, I wasn't using a microphone. I was recording a phone conversation with someone. My audio isn't great. Hers is perfect. So just listen for me at times because I don't come through prominently. I'm asking questions. Her answers are great. Hope you find this helpful. Hope you give it a great review in Apple Podcasts. And I'll just simply say, let's get going, okay?
So my guest on this show is Peggy McKee, the CEO of Career Confidential, a career coaching and advisory firm. Peggy, welcome to Job Search Radio. Tell my listeners about yourself and your firm.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thanks so much for inviting me on here. I know that we have a topic that is going to be very interesting to your listeners. My name is Peggy McKee. I am the CEO of Career Confidential. I have been an executive search recruiter with my own firm, PhD Consulting, and the CEO of Career Confidential. I've done recruiting and career coaching at all levels for the last 15 years. And at Career Confidential, we started in 2009. We now have over 18,000 clients in more than 90 countries. And what we do is we're giving that employee, that job seeker, that careerist tools and advantages to get farther ahead in the way that they want to, get where they want to go. So we're knocking down obstacles and barriers and helping people get where they want to go in their career.
Fabulous. So let me paint a situation for you. This week I was talking with a guy making about $225,000, $250,000, general manager for a well-known organization. He's finished interviewing. He's received an offer. It was a little bit less than what he was looking for. So he goes back and forth with the owner of the firm a few times. Suddenly the guy turns around to him and says, I think I've had enough. I'm done. I'm pulling the offer. I think that's what every job hunter's afraid of when they start doing the salary negotiation, that this job that they've worked so hard to get is going to get taken away from them. So let me just ask a blunt question. Should someone go out and negotiate?
Absolutely negotiate. There are many reasons to negotiate, and we can also address that situation with the gentleman that you're speaking about. But do you want me to go ahead and elaborate on why you need to negotiate?
Absolutely.
Well, I was sitting here thinking about this before the show, and the reason you have to negotiate, or that you should, is that if you do it correctly, it never hurts. Okay? I would submit to you that the gentleman who negotiated with that owner did not do it the way that I would suggest that you do. So pay attention to the rest of this show because I'll explain to you what I mean by that. So, one, it never hurts if you do it right. Two, you may be leaving money on the table that you could have for your family based on the value that you bring to the organization, and if you don't ask, you won't know. Three, it shows executive and communication skills, which is what you want to do. Even if you don't receive a concession, it will still make you look and seem more valuable to them. And four, it sets a value for you. I know that when we talked a couple weeks ago and you'd asked if I'd come on to the show and we had talked about this being the hot topic, I had just gotten an email from a gentleman who told me, "Hey, Peggy, I tried to negotiate when I got my job offer. I was unemployed, but I tried the negotiations that you told me. They told me that they could not do some of the things, and other things they did do. They brought me on board, and here's my great story for you, Peggy. 3 months after being on board, I have exceeded their expectations, and my manager just came in and actually gave me the pay that I had asked for in the initial negotiations because they were so thrilled with what I'd done. Now, when I came into the organization, I hadn't set that value for myself, but I asked for more, so they thought I knew that I felt that I was worth more, and then I delivered, and then guess what? I got it. Now, is that always going to work out? But No,
No.
I'd say no. But Jeff, for that gentleman, would that manager have come in and given him a raise without that? No. No, because see, he created that thought in that manager's mind, and even though he didn't get it, he did increase and improve his value, and then now it's actually paying him in his checkbook, right?
And that's exactly what someone needs to do. From my vantage point, I agree with you. You always have to negotiate because let's work with the assumption that this individual didn't do it correctly and at the end of the day annoyed someone sufficiently that they pulled the offer. But for most individuals, as you said, it demonstrates leadership because after all, why would you possibly take the first thing offered to you? Can't you at least try? Mm-hmm. Worst comes to worst, they can. And if they can't, you can have good circumstances come later. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, but this now begs the question, how should someone begin to negotiate? And we can use this person or individual as a model for how you talk about it.
Well, here's, I would submit, again, and I don't know your individual, but when you have a situation where you get an offer rescinded, usually there's some other variables and factors. Okay, and here's a few of them to think about. One, you can have a candidate who is getting a tremendous offer already, who is lucky to get that offer. Maybe they've been unemployed or less than perceived greatest value, and that person begins to ask more and doesn't ask for more with the positive side of negotiation. They say things like, I don't know if I can take this job if you don't give me X. Well, who likes to be dealt with that way? When you deal with someone like that, you put them on the defense, okay? You don't want someone to be defensive. The way that I negotiate and the way that I coach people to negotiate is from a positive point of view. When I go into a negotiation situation, I want to already be visualizing that we're going to get along fabulously, that we're going to find something that's going to be good for both of us, and we're going to both walk away happy, and I'm going to make sure that happens. And notice I didn't just say what some people will say, which is I'm going to get mine, okay? That's not how you negotiate, or at least that's not how you negotiate successfully. The way to negotiate is to create a situation where everyone wins, okay?
So when you speak
because if you have
positively, I'm going to interrupt you here.
From a positive point of view. So, and it goes against what some people believe in, Jeff. I have coached folks at CFO levels in some of the biggest organizations out there. You would be stunned if I gave you some of the names of the organizations. CFOs, CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, and some of them, when I say this to them, they don't like it. Because they want to say, if you don't give me X, I won't do Y. What I want to say is, I want to do Y so bad I can taste it. I am so thrilled. I'm on board. I'm ready to go. We can work out the start date. But before we can do Y, I need a little more help with X.
Very, very sweet. I like that.
It's nice, isn't it? And see, and the other thing is I don't worry about, a lot of people try to come up with very executive language. You know, they want to speak in terms that are significantly positive for both parties at the negotiation, blah, blah, blah. And I know I'm not doing a good job. I should have looked up a bunch of words for you that would have been very big and impressive. A lot of people think that you got to come at negotiation from that side. I don't like to negotiate from that side. I go back to my horse trading days. My dad's a rancher, and we sold horses and cattle and everything else under the sun, and he always asked for more. But he didn't make it a very big decision. So he wouldn't say, if someone offered X for a horse, he wouldn't say, oh no, I'll never sell that horse for X. He would say, X isn't quite enough. What else could you offer? In
other words, going for something else in lieu of the...
Yeah, and not putting them on the defense. Man, I think this horse is right for you, and I want to sell it to you, but I can't accept that. So where could we meet? And maybe it won't work out for us. Maybe you can't buy the horse. And if you can't, that's okay. You still come over and ride her every once in a while. You can't own her because that's going to cost a little bit more, right? And so it's a very positive place to come from where you don't have to make someone have pain. So I want to say to a manager, I'm ready to accept your offer. I love this job. It's perfect for me. Okay? Now, there's a couple things we have to do, though, because my salary, it needs to start with a 9 instead of an 8. right? So what am I saying there? You're wanting to pay me $80,000 to do the job. I need 90. I don't say I'm going to need more money for compensating me for the abilities and the skill sets and the experiences that I'm bringing to the table here. I say, Jack, man, I'm in. I can start next Monday on March 9th, and I guarantee you I'm going to exceed your expectations. Hey, before we get going, though, could this number start with another number other than an 8? I mean, is there a possibility it could start with something else?
Very, very sweet.
And I'm very quiet afterwards, right? And
what you also did, I'm going to interrupt you here for a second. What you also did, which, again, I know you know this instinctively, you changed your tone of voice. You got softer. You slowed down your speech to get to that proposal. And
I was smiling when I said it. I wasn't serious. I wasn't uptight. My hands aren't sweating, and I'm not just dying. And the reason I don't have to be that upset and I don't have to have that amount of seriousness is because, Jeff, I'm going to pretend you're the manager, right? Jeff, we're not fighting here. We're on the same side. You want me to come do the job, and I want to come do the job. And now you and I got to look at this to make sure that it works for us. And then once we get that ironed out, we're good to go. So all I need to know is where can we move here?
Very, very sweet. I keep repeating that.
And there's something that happens as a recruiter. Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's a very smooth tactic because, in effect, what you're doing is already accepting the offer. Got one more thing to cover. Very nice.
Now wait a second though, let's talk about that real quick because that is a very important piece. See, the people that have trouble with that, they say, well, you've given away your power. You're saying you're going to accept it. Well, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Everything but.
I've said I want to accept it. I said I'm dying to accept it. I said I'm thinking about how I'm going to start the job, but hey, we need to do a little something here. And see, managers, if you hit them with that aggressive tone or that negative tone, they start thinking of that salary as money out of their own pocket. Okay. And I had a great manager one time who taught me a great lesson. I had a gentleman I was trying to hire. The guy wanted like 65. I only had 60. He asked for 65. I went for my manager. I'm like, he's asking for 65. I don't think we ought to give it to him because, see, I was trying to be a good steward of the company's money, And I thought we could get him at 60. And my manager said, Peggy, why do you care if we pay him 60 or 65? Because the truth is that's not going to come out of your pocket. Okay, you're not paying it, number one. Number two, if you fail with your team, nobody's going to say she failed, but she didn't pay her team more than $60,000 a year. They're going to say she failed, and they're going to fire your ass. Okay, so it would be better for you to get the very best team that you can possibly put in place and make them the happiest that you can ever make them, so that you exceed your expectations and everybody goes home happy. And I said, okay, so you think we should pay him 65? And he goes, yes. And tell him he better earn it.
And I want to pick up there. Just give me one moment because, folks, we're going to be back with more from Peggy in just a moment. But first, my insider tip, which is about organizing your search and tracking your activity. I find a lot of job hunters really think they're doing more than they do. They think they're out there talking to a bunch of people. They think they're out there doing a lot of networking, responding to ads. Responding to ads is like spamming most of the time, but that's a different conversation. And what I think people ought to be doing along the way is tracking every activity that you do related to your job search as a way of demonstrating to yourself whether or not that's really true. I find most of the people I coach, they talk a good game, but when we start breaking it down of an 8 to 10 hour workday, maybe they've got 2 hours of really productive activity, maybe, but they've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, like reviewing their resume for the 15th time. So my encouragement to you is spend a little time. You can do it online. You can do it on a pad, however you want to do it. Just jot down what you've done, about how long you spent on it, and start reviewing it after a week. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised or pleasantly disappointed. You'll find it one way or the other. So let's come back to Peggy and continue our conversation. So I agree with you, and yet managers hold out, and they want to squeeze that $5,000 out of people. Why?
It's childish and immature. Nobody has taught them that lesson that manager taught me, which is at the end of the day, if you get your job done, nobody's going to care how much you paid that guy. But if you can't get the job done, you'll lose your job. So do you want the guy or not? If you want him, make him happy, make him, fat, tell him he owes you.
Spectacular. And sometimes the negotiations aren't smooth and easy. So in that situation where they've offered you a number that begins with an 8 and you want to go to a 9, let's say they say, we can't quite go to a 9. How do you then play it?
What can you go to? That's the next question. What can you do?
We got to keep it exactly where it is right now. Folks, I'm just doing the thing that you think is going to happen so we get that out of the way. So we have to keep it exactly where what we proposed.
Okay, so Jeff, what you're saying is your budget as far as the salary piece is set and you cannot move that. It's like a rock. Is that what you're saying?
And folks, did you catch what she said as far as the salary piece? Because I have a hunch we both know where she's going to go to next now. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Hey, when we get done, I've got a horse I want to sell you.
Or a bridge in Brooklyn. Yes, okay.
That's right, baby. I got that too.
And I got some sugar for your horse. Yes.
That's right. But this is really good, and I know a lot of people think, Jeff, they think, oh my God, I could never, because I've heard this, right? I could never do that. And I say, look, all I need you to do is just a little of what I do, okay? Because that's going to be a whole lot further than you've ever done before, and you're going to get such great results from it that you'll be empowered by that, and next time you'll be better, and next time you'll be better, and each time you're going to get better offers. You don't have to sound like me yet, but you have to try to do what I ask you to do, and trust me that if you come from, and I know it sounds so crazy, Jeff, but I tell you, I'm just a freak for the positive and the love thing, and I know that's, a lot of people say, I don't feel much positive or much love in this job search, but I feel like that's everywhere in your life. And if you can think it and feel it, it helps, right? It takes away the edge. And so if you think, hey, this person likes me and they're offering me a job, now I could just take it just the way that it is, but because I'm a powerful professional and executive and I've listened to Jeff and Peggy, I know I got to ask for more. So all I'm going to do is say, look, I definitely am so excited. I want this job. It's thrilling. I've called my wife, but can we get this to start with a 7 instead of a 6? Can we get it to start with a 9 instead of an 8? Can we move this number? Can we add another 0? What can we do? And then going back to what we said before, see, I did do what you were saying. See, I tidied up and made sure that we were very clear that all that you told me is that you can't move on the salary. Okay? That's all you told me. And so then when you say, yes, that's right, Peggy, I can't move on it. Great. Talk to me about the variable compensation. Is there a bonus or a commission opportunity?
Now, wouldn't most people know that by this point?
Well, and so let's assume they already know that there is one, that they definitely know that there is one. What part of my compensation, what should I expect from that bonus? How should I feel about that? Well, it's going to be worth this. Okay, great. So if I do this, then I'm going to get that. Absolutely. And then this is where we kind of get into some tricky things, right? What if I can do more than that? Would you be willing, let's say that you're offering me 10% commission on all the sales. What if I do more than $2 million of sales? Can you offer 15% on anything over $2 million? Well, yeah, I'll pay you 20%. Great. Can you put that in writing?
And folks note,
okay,
you put that in writing. It's one of the key phrases in these negotiations, because once you're getting them off the basic script, you got to get it in writing.
Right. The next thing you could negotiate for, I had a gentleman, rest in peace, he died last year, but he knew that he was stellar at his job. It was a sales role. And so what he asked for was, he knew they weren't going to change his commission. He knew they weren't going to change their base. There were too many reps. Everybody was at the same level. They weren't going to move on it, right? But the VP of Sales and Marketing wanted a specific agenda achieved. And he had some specific things that he wanted. And so this guy, Scott, said, listen, if I do X and Y, will you buy me a Rolex? And the VP said, which one? Because, there are Rolexes at $5,000 and there's Rolexes at $30,000, And this guy, and I don't pay attention to that stuff, Jeff, but he picked out one that was a $10,000 watch, and he said, if I do this, I want this watch. And I don't know if he's got it on him in the grave, but he did get the watch. And the reason he got it was because he negotiated for it. And everybody knew that he did, and he knew he could achieve what he did, right? The other thing that you can ask for is you can think that if they say no, they're not really saying no, they're saying not now. Okay, great. So I understand it's in rock, it's in stone, we can't move that at all. Could we review my success in 3 to 6 months and see if there's any room for some agreement there?
Improvement there. And
yeah.
Very subtle what you're doing. Very, very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
In some way you're just looking at some variable that would allow them to make a concession for you. So,
I think of it like a Rubik's Cube. You're kind of just turning it over and over, just looking at all sides, because you could get car allowance, you could get golf course fees, you could get the Rolex, you could get additional percentages, you could get a negotiated review in 6 months with an additional 5% based on X. You could get, that's just, that's why you got to kind of turn it over and over in your hand and look at it and think about it, right? But if you're setting a stretch goal, then why shouldn't you ask for more compensation? If you hit it, they're going to be thrilled. Everybody's happy.
Because everyone's making money out of it. And
yeah.
A lot of your history is around sales professionals, so I want to see what you think about the non-sales roles where the measures might be a little bit different. So let's say there's an IT person or an accounting professional where revenue may not necessarily be the obvious benchmark for them.
But there are other benchmarks.
Right. So
there are other benchmarks. So this is where you have to be insightful and have thought out what it is you do that makes you valuable. And some people don't think about this. It's funny, I'm thinking about writing a book on, the redneck approach to salary negotiations, because I have a buddy, a redneck, who does a redneck kind of job, and he's amazing at what he does. I guarantee he makes his company millions of dollars based on his job, okay? And he makes like $60,000 a year. And he said, he called me about something else, and he said, well, I'm sick about asking for a raise, but I'm not sure. And I'm like, well, tell me about the job you do and what, and of course he's putting himself down because rednecks don't boast about the jobs that they do, by the way. They're, good old boys, blue-collar professionals. They don't brag about this stuff, they don't, right? So he's going on, but I started asking some questions where it was becoming very clear to him, he could actually see, you're right, nobody else could do that. Yeah, I did do that. Oh, yeah, I did that too. And you know what that means? And he's like starting to get in it, and I'm like, and you still don't think you're worth a raise? And he goes, oh man, I'd like to ask for one, but I just don't. And see, the reason is because he thinks he's going to have to go in there and say, I'm going to quit if you don't give me this. And I don't think he has to do that. I think he goes in there and says, I love working for you guys. I'd like to get paid a little more for what I do. Let me tell you about what I do. Maybe you'll be okay with it too. So it's not I'm not going to give you this. It's yes, but let's work on this. There's no to it. So your gentleman that got his offer rescinded, there's a couple different things that could have happened. Number one, it wasn't a solid offer anyway. Number two, he was an on-the-fence candidate. They didn't really love him. They were settling for him. And then when he made noises, they said, forget it. We're done with you. Number three, you mentioned he went back multiple times. I am not up for this. I can't stand it when someone tells you they know how to negotiate, but they want to negotiate one piece and then have another meeting to negotiate another piece, to have another meeting to negotiate, and you're going, when are you done? See? That's when it becomes tiresome. And that's when I say, you know what? Maybe we should move on. See? Because you've made me cranky, right? Because you're not playing by the I love you, you love me rule. You're trying to still squeeze stuff out of me. We didn't come to an agreement. Right?
Of course. I know I hate
okay.
that.
So, yes, and that's why he got the offer rescinded. I guarantee it. And to add to it, I bet he had a negative tone in it. So they didn't even feel like he loved the job already anyway. See? So they weren't feeling any love. And it's kind of like asking a chick out to the prom and, you've already, ponied up for the limo. You've already ponied up for a decent restaurant. You're getting the tux and she's going, well, I'm not, God. She needs to be saying, she needs to go, man, I am so excited to be going to the prom with you. Hey, can you go ahead and get me a bouquet of roses to go with that too, please? See? Because then I'd be like, yeah, I could. We're going to have a great time. You see? You understand it's an emotional thing. That's a big part of what people don't get that's a big opportunity is try to look at the job search almost like a dating relationship. When you're in the interview, you're dating. So dating people don't, and forgive me if I move over any lines that people don't like, but when you're dating, you don't leave the toothpaste off the toothpaste thing, right? You don't leave the toilet lid up. Boys shouldn't be doing that if you're dating. You open doors, you say nice things, you give them nice notes because you're fresh in this relationship and you want to make sure they know just how much you like them, right? That's the way it is in the interview. When you get to the negotiation, that's like them asking you to marry them. Do you think a guy wants to get down on his knees and have bought a big ring, right, and told people that he's going to do this because he has to tell them because he had to have help picking out the ring, right, and now he's going to get on his knees and he's going to say, I want to get married, and you're going to go, oh, I don't know. That ring's not quite as bright as I wanted. No, he needs to hear, who wants to hear that? You want to hear, yes. I'm so glad you asked. I can't wait. But I don't like pear-shaped diamonds. Can we get a square one? Yeah? Okay. Let's do it. You see? So I'm saying, yes, let's get married. And when you're in that negotiation, make sure you're showing that love just like you would with the chick that you're trying to talk into marrying. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And interviewing itself is kind of like blind dating. Each of you has been told something about one another that you hope is true, and then the interviews are basically designed to confirm it, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to fall in love at the end of all these interviews.
Yes, but they don't know how it's going to go, and if you make them feel cranky about it, or if you put them at risk by acting freaky, well, they're done. Because what probably a lot of job seekers don't understand is when a manager makes you an offer, he's betting on you. And everybody knows it. So then if you decide not to take that offer, it's as if you turned him down to the prom and everybody knows he asked you.
And at the end of the day, he or she doesn't want to be in the situation where they have to start all over again. They've put it out there, they made the offer, everyone knows, their boss knows, and you get rejected. Boy, horrible set of circumstances. So they want to close the deal.
It's not good for your political career if that happens.
Happens too frequently to too many people. Hey, Peggy, we're starting to run out of time with one another. Are there any other points that you want to make so that maybe another tactic?
Well, I feel like we've offered them a lot of information that for many of these people can be, pretty life-changing if you can use these skill sets. You've got to expect that something positive is going to happen. You've got to make that other person feel the love and then ask for, and think of it kind of like I did about the Rubik's Cube. Just kind of turn it over and look, is there something that I don't know about? Because there could be value in there that you just didn't readily understand.
So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few more ways to get more from me. First of all, visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. I have more than 6,000 blog posts there that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you find your next job. If you want the best of my advice, join JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I've curated information with a focus on interviewing. If you decide to take the lifetime membership at the site, it's $299 currently, but that's the price of a coaching session or an hour of coaching from me, and I'll be giving that to you if you join with a lifetime membership. Have a few questions? Contact me through the Magnify app for iOS or PrestoExperts.com, where you can call me. Schedule a specific time with me through chat on Magnify or by connecting with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Once we're connected on LinkedIn, you can message me about coaching you, scheduling a time for Magnify or Presto Experts, speak with me about a resume or LinkedIn profile critique, help you with a salary negotiation or my trusted advisor services, and much, much more. Like you, I don't work for free. I do charge for what I do. You can take my classes on Skillshare and become a premium member using the link in the show notes and receive 2 months for free instead of just the one that the site offers. Skillshare offers thousands and thousands of courses, not just simply mine, on a host of different subjects that can help you in many different ways. Lastly, join my group on Facebook called Career Angles. It's free to the first 250 people who join and is focused on helping you do better at work. Information is shared daily, and we're attempting to build a supportive group there. Ask to join. I'm not letting recruiters in at this point. So I'll be back tomorrow with more, and in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Be great!